Welcome to day one of the Ages and Timelines unit. This is very exciting. These videos should hopefully help you, help inform your instruction as you're teaching this unit. Day one sets the stage for the whole 10-day unit, but it also begins, it sets the stage for the investigation that will cover the first 4 days. So what we're talking about today will also be what we're talking about for the next 4 days of instruction. A lot of these days you'll find will take more than 1 day. So I will still describe them as day one's lesson, day two's lesson, but if one of the days takes actually a day and a half, that's okay. The first 4 days will blend together smoothly, so if the first 4 days actually take 6 days or something like that, it shouldn't be a problem because they're broken up into sections and you just bump the whatever remaining sections you have till the next day and sort of find a natural flow for it. So to get ready for today, you're going to need your big book, the copy of El Bisabuelo Gregorio. You're going to need copies of Appendix B, that's 2 pages. It says to make the copies for each pair of children to share, but it might be handy to make a copy for each child. Even if they're working together, they can each fill in their own page. That's sort of up to you. I think there are benefits to both, and it depends on the kids and their abilities to work together. Then it says you also need blank paper. This is just like printer copy paper, just white paper for them to write their thoughts on. You need some markers for them to work. You should have folders, just like regular file folders for each child, because that's basically going to be their portfolio. As the unit goes through, there's no workbook for kids, but there will be a series of worksheets and posters that they make, and it's nice to have ready in advance a folder with their name on it so they can keep it all together in one place. For the first 4 days, they should be working with the same partner. So it can be helpful if you, since you already know your kids, to choose those partners in advance to set them up for success. I like to vary the way that you partner as you go through the unit, so sometimes matching a strong child with a weak child, and sometimes matching strong kids together and weaker kids together. That's up to you. If you have a couple kids who are really pushing or parents for more enrichment, might be a nice time to match some strong kids together and let them sort of push each other to do more challenging and interesting things, and you can also then more easily target the challenges that you hand out as you're working through the lessons. And then the last thing you're going to need is some chart paper with this already written on it, the current age and then the names of all the people in the family. And that is all you need to get started for day one. So the lesson starts like this. You start reading the book. You read the first 5 pages, and then you stop to have a little side conversation about math. When Carlos begins wondering about the ages, he says 79 plus 8, that's 79 plus 1, that's 80, and then 7 more is 87. So he's doing the problem. He's doing the problem 79 plus 8. And you are going to stop and write this on the board behind you. He did 79 plus 1 to get you to 80, and then plus 7 more, that's 87. And look to the class and say, is that true? What do you think? Are there other ways you could think about this? And then you can start recording other kids' thoughts. So someone might come up with other ways to do it. They might do 8 plus 79. They would start here with 8. And then you could add 70 to that to get you to 78. And then do 2 to get you to 80, and then, what is he at? Plus 7 more, it gets you to 87. You can't really predict what the ways are that they're going to have to explain it, but try as much as you can to really listen to what the kids are saying, and try and document their ideas. It can be easy to have an idea in your mind of what you think the answer is going to be that the kids are going to give, and then like really just want the kids to do that. But it's really valuable to hear what they have to say, and if it doesn't make sense, then the kids in the audience are going to be better at correcting that logic and that language than you as the teacher are. But go ahead and look at the book for some ideas of what the kids might say. Another great strategy that someone might come up with if they're adding 8 plus 79 is start with 8, add 80, and then jump back 1 to get to 8 plus 80. Sorry, I should have to write 88. And then jump back 1 to get to 87. My number line here is super messy. I apologize for that. But do feel free to draw more than one strategy on the same number line. You can certainly do that. Or you can draw a new number line for each strategy that's shared. Once you're done having that little side conversation, you're going to go back and finish reading the book. No more pauses or side conversations. You could point something out if something is interesting to you, but just go ahead and finish the book, and then pull out the chart paper that you have prepared and have your kids help fill in the missing ages. This isn't a math problem, this is just like recall, but it's good to have the kids involved so that they just are paying attention. What this should look like is that Carlos's current age is 8, Maria is 10, Mama is 33, Papa's 35. So they might remember this, they might not. You can always just open the book back to this page so that the kids can see the numbers again. Grandma Rosita is 57, and Bisabuelo Gregorio is 87, as we said. Once you have this information, you're going to explain the challenge, which is how old was everyone when Carlos was born? And how old was everyone when Maria was born? And hand out the sheets and then let the kids go ahead and start working. Your job now is to circulate and observe student work. You can step in and provide support or instruction or challenges as appropriate, but mostly just prompt them to use number lines if they get stuck, and to show their thinking using the open number lines, and observing how they're working together. And that is the investigation that they're working through. Okay, so while kids are working, you as the teacher are preparing for the Math Congress. How are you doing this? You are observing student work and looking for certain things, certain strategies. You're looking for who is counting backwards by ones. Who is subtracting by just counting backwards 1, 2, 3, 4. You are looking for who is decomposing the 8 into 5 and 3, for example. So taking jumps bigger than just ones. You're looking for who's subtracting 10 and then adding 2 back, if anyone's doing that. Or who's using patterns between Carlos and Maria to get the answers across those. And you are writing these things down either on a notepad or even on the board. You wouldn't write it specifically like who's using what strategies, but what you can do is like write on the board like order of presenting. And if you see someone who's counting backwards by ones, write their name right on the top. And you can even point that out to them and draw that to their attention. Say, hey, buddy, I put you up, your team up as presenting first. Is that okay? And so then while they're working, they have a sense. So they know that that's coming down the line, and they're getting ready to prepare to present. Then you're looking for kids who are decomposing, and you put those guys second or third on the list. And if anyone's doing strategies 3 or 4, then add those to the list as well. But if not, don't worry. The lesson will build up to those ideas. So kids come up to the board and start presenting. Someone subtracts by ones, and they explain we started at 33, and then we went 32, 31, 30. So this is kids explaining. I counted backwards, 32, 31, 30, and they're counting on their fingers, and you're just showing those 8 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My pen stopped working. 6, 7, 8. You know what it looks like. There. Until they got to, what, 25? Is that right? Yeah. Then maybe there's a second group who did that same thing. You could have them come up or not. Not everyone gets to present every time. But then you pull up a group who was decomposing the 8. So someone who said, well, we saw 33 and we took a jump of 3 backwards to get to 30. And then we went 5 more backwards to get to 25. Cool. Great strategy. Once those kids come up and show that idea, call on one of the kids who is just counting backwards by 1 and say, use the talk moves. Can you restate what they did? What does that jump of 3 mean? What does that jump of 5 mean? So get them involved in the conversation about using the bigger jumps. If there's a couple different groups who was counting by 1, call in a couple different people to try to explain that strategy. You could even call on a group that counted back by 1s to try for the first time using the bigger jumps for another one of the problems. There are lots and lots of problems they solved here, so you could have them try to solve Grandpa Juan's using the jumping strategy if they're up to it. All right, then you get to these strategies. Probably you're not going to have a lot of kids doing these. So what you're going to do is while kids are coming and giving their answers, you're going to take the chart paper and keep filling in the numbers. So as they get their answers, you're writing the numbers in here. Once you have a bunch of those numbers up, draw the kids' attention to patterns they might see between Carlos and Maria's numbers. So Mama was 25 when Carlos was born, 23 when Maria was born. 27, 25, 47, 45. See if they can notice the difference of 2 and wonder why that's happening. Then, try and pose the question, if you knew someone's age when Maria was born, could you use that to figure out Carlos's age? The age when Carlos was born. So, you know Papa was 25 when Maria was born, but you didn't know this one. Could you figure it out from the 25? And this will start bringing, hopefully, the idea to their mind that they can use 10 as a landmark number and then adjust from there. So that strategy of subtracting 10 and then adding 2 back will start being planted in their brains. Using the patterns is the idea we were talking about here. If anyone was already using Carlos's age to get Maria's, awesome. You can say, great, you were using the patterns you see on the chart. This is a really, really, really big lesson. Day 1 has a lot packed into it. So if it takes more than one day, don't worry about it. But I do just want to warn you, or inform you that you don't have to teach everything in this first day. If there are kids who are struggling and don't seem to understand things on day 1, that's okay. This is just opening the door for this 10-day investigation. So go ahead and let there be an extra day for the kids to work through the investigation and complete their thoughts on this. But if they're not fully grasping, this kind of subtraction, don't worry about it. Just move forward to day 2 where they're going to have more experiences that will guide them more specifically through these skills. Another thought for assessment, this is a great unit to use Seesaw with. So posting pictures of student work, student posters, posting videos of them explaining during their math congresses, all great stuff to put on Seesaw and document their work in that digital portfolio. It's going to be a great unit. You're going to do great. And we'll see you next time for video 2.